Good morning, Warzone kids. That's my term for those of us like myself. I'm a child sex abuse survivor. As an adult, I live with borderline personality disorder. I'm a recovering addict, bulimic, and I got a whole bunch of other stuff like kind of related to those things I could check off. Um, and I say Warzone kid because that's just my term for those of us, like myself, whose childhoods are more like a kind of a hostile war zone full of chronic trauma, abuse, neglect, that kind of thing, less like a hothouse orchid. The kind of environment where your psyche can get injured. Know what I mean? By the time you're an adult, if you had a war zone childhood, your psyche can be like a tall, shaky Jenga tower. Toward the end of the game, when it's about to fall down, you got to put it back together again. For me, that's what healing is about. The word healing, repair, rehab. Get that Jenga tower back together so I can live in it and live with it. Now, I'm a Gen Xer. I was raised by a 3-tour door gunner from Vietnam, hot off the chopper, and around a lot of veterans and other folks. And Oklahoma at that time was it was a rough and tumble environment. At least the part where I grew up in, it was a rough place. And so when I hear myself talk the way I sometimes talk, when I'm talking about this stuff like quiet and gentle, whatnot. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I nauseate myself. But there's reasons for that, because that's the frame of mind I'm in certain, when I talk about certain stuff, I use certain kind of language, because it's about rehab. Think of a rehab hospital, right? If you just broke your leg, it ain't the time to go to a mosh pit. Know what I mean? I've been in a lot of mosh pits. Thrash metal was a big thing when I was a kid. I got thrown out a bunch. I got thrown on the floor a bunch of times. Had a lot of time. But it's pretty rough. Mosh pit's like life. You break your leg, you need to go to the rehab hospital for a while, go PT, get yourself back in order before you go in that mosh pit. Or you're just going to keep on hurting your leg. Or just, you ain't going to do that great because you're going to be nursing your busted leg. Right? So go get it taken care of. And finding yourself in a safe environment with a secure perimeter. People talk about safe spaces. All right, I get that. I get what they mean. I work with a lot of women in the healing arts. Women possessed of extraordinary level of human wisdom. And many of them tend to be quite gentle and calming in their presence. I ain't necessarily like that. And this ain't me trying to be an old lady. This is me noticing that they created a secure perimeter for me, so my psyche could get better. They knew how to create a secure perimeter for what my psyche needed. Secure perimeter. Watch the doors and windows. Stay safe. Somebody's awake at all times. There ain't never a time when everyone's asleep. We're all looking over each other's shoulders to keep each other secure. A secure perimeter so we can get our Jenga tower back together. So we can go get back in that mosh pit. And that, in the terms of healing, you start off in the sea of suffering. You wash up on the aisle of facing, where you're acknowledging the reality. This happened to me, and I don't care if I'm the only one in the world who'll admit it. This happened to me. I don't care if I got a family that would rather live in dreamland. This happened to me, and I'm gonna hang on to it. It's my life, right? Anger. How bad can I hurt them? Who do I hurt, and how bad can I hurt them? Been there. It don't last forever. And right now, this guy wants to get back in the mosh pit. On the trail to the western lands. The place of peace and wholeness where I learn and become what I am. Well, I'll tell you what. What I am is a fairly rough and tumble guy from Oklahoma City, McLeod, Oklahoma, Pottawatomie County. And I can take a licking and keep on ticking. And I can learn and become who I am. And I can get back in that mosh pit because I spent my time. I am spending time right now in a secure perimeter. And I like to go back to that secure perimeter and do rehab and PT and get stronger and make my Jenga tower more secure so I can get back in that mosh pit of life and live my life. That's what it's about, Pilgrim. How do we live our lives? Let's do it. It's a beautiful day on the trail to the Western Lands. The sun is high in the sky. We can get it a lot of miles. Daylight's burning, Pilgrim. Let's get a move on.